There are two schools of thought. The first one believes the metaverse should be a regulated space to ensure security of the users and create a stable social place. The other one is against any regulations. What are the pros and cons of both?
I think it's that question of how do you govern the ungovernable. Almost, it's tricky. I think there's legislations have always been behind technology because technology moves so fast, and especially in today's age, like things are changing and evolving really, really fast. And so you've always had legislation trying to sort of catch up, right? We're seeing it with what happened a couple of years ago with Facebook, and when they the whole thing with, was it Analytica or something like that? Yeah. And so, legislators trying to sort of work out how to essentially control those big social media platform better. And I don't think we're still there, and they're still sort of discussing it. So there's definitely at the moment, there's definitely no regulation. I think there's two schools of thoughts, right? There's obviously the companies that today own people's data, the government that can sort of, track and understand a bit better what's happening on social media platform, who from their perspective obviously may think that it's a risk of not having any legislation. I'm sure parts of users that are in Metaverse are enjoying that, because the whole purpose of the Metaverse is that it's decentralized, right? And I suppose the core message of being decentralized is that it's not internet. Like, internet is owned by the likes of Google, Facebook, Apple. Like, if you want to download an app, you have to use Google Play Store or Apple Store, etc. If you want to look for something, you go through Google. The whole purpose of the Metaverse is that you create your own space, you create your own environment. You're not relying on any technology, right? So obviously those people feel like this audience feels like it's the right thing to do. I think it really depends. I think that if we want to talk about risks, for me there's three risks, but it's whether there'll be legislation or not, I don't know. There's the data privacy aspect, right? So if there's no regulation, how do you protect your own data, right? And how do you protect your own privacy in that respect? I don't know if the likes of GDPR will eventually apply to the Metaverse. Again, those are things that are I'm not even sure if they're being discussed. I'm sure they are, but those are things that don't apply yet to the Metaverse. So that's the first thing. The other thing is about transaction. So when you talk about NFTs, we're talking about, in some cases, millions, thousands, if not millions worth of dollars of artwork that are sold as NFTs. So those are huge sums that in the real world you have laws, like you have ownership laws, right? Like if you buy a piece of artwork, you not only own a piece of artwork, but in some instances you can own the intellectual property. You may or may not, but in some instances you can. So how do you regulate that in a Metaverse? This is currently, you own an NFT, right? You pay millions for, or thousands and millions for NFTs, and an NFT is a single, essentially it's a unique piece of data that's not replicable, right? So it's this concept of scarcity. But then how do you regulate ownership, right? There's no regulation, there's no government behind that. So that's one risk. So more on the transactional side. And then the last one is, it's a bit green, but it's, what happens if your avatar gets abused, in whatever shape or form by another avatar? Does that consist of, breaking the law, or is it acceptable because it's virtual? So all these things we don't know, because it's all sort of being created as we speak. I think for me, it can't rely on just the government, and it can't rely just on the technology company. So both government and technology company will have to work together. Whether they'll be doing it, that's another question. But because we're seeing it with the likes of Meta and their sub brands. But yeah, I think it's a big topic, and it's definitely something that's being asked on a regular basis.
Yeah. And you really interesting point there, because if you think about the metaverse is obviously this Web 3.0 virtual world, we have to access it from the physical world. To access it, we need something.
Yeah.
You can't just access it effectively without anything. So whether that's devices like you say, Oculus or other devices, there's going to be a layer in between the human being and the virtual world. So there's going to be governance on some level.
I think you can access it through, you'll be able, and today through apps on your phone or whatever the mobile phone becomes. Like you said, VR glasses, but also AR glasses that will look like just like these, you know.
Yeah,
and
interesting.